Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Crypto and Assets on this amazing Saturday, April the 11th, hosted by myself and Gil. As you know, every Saturday, usually 12 Central, but this week, 1 p.m. Central, we give you guys value on the fundamentals, the technicals, and the sentimental side of the crypto space. But also, this is crypto and assets. So the second part to that is the assets, and that includes looking at the stock market, various equities, in the index funds and things of that nature. So we like to give you a broad perspective on things. And whether you're an investor, whether you're a trader, whether you're just somebody who's trying to learn, and you're in the beginner phases, it doesn't matter. You're going to get some value from this call. That's the main goal. So we always start these calls with what occurred in the week. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I'm going to do, this is going to be slightly different. I want to show you guys what it is that we do to even find this research, right? Like, how do we source information? So if you have a notepad and pen, I highly recommend you write these down. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys the back end as to how we do our research. That's the big key here. So the first thing is we have a lot of our information from the private community that we're in, which is called Powerhouse. And you guys know we're streaming live on YouTube's Powerhouse. And so this community has a variety of educators and live education. But secondly, we also go to a website called Decrypt. I would write that down, Decrypt. Now, Decrypt, in our opinion, is one of the most non-biased, one of the most fair sources of information about the crypto space. And it's really good to have a look at the fundamentals here. So as you can see, all news, you can come down here, and it's not just crypto related, it's also related to stocks, which is called equities. It's also related to the tech industry and other industries that are related to digital assets in general. And you can see the dates, and you can see the kind of news that's coming out, and just guys, just on a daily basis, or at worst, just once or twice a week, have a little look and see what's happened in that day or in that week. For example, and I'm literally showing you guys what I do for about an hour to prep for this call. So what I would do is I'll scroll down and I'll see if anything here catches my eye or attention. Anything here that I think can have a big impact on the markets that I'm trading in or I'm invested in. So as I'm scrolling down, I see OpenAI, I see stablecoin, and I'm going to wait until we get to something that's like big, where I think, oh, that could impact the market. So look, Morgan Stanley Bitcoin ETF draws 31 million on first trading day. I watched a few videos actually about this, and this was a huge deal because I believe it is one of the most successful first day openings for an ETF. And so what is an ETF? It's an exchange traded fund. As you can see here, Morgan Stanley, one of the world's largest banks, has become the first major US commercial bank to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF. And an exchange traded fund is basically a basket of goods, which you can say a basket of cryptos. In this instance, it's Bitcoin. And you can invest in that ETF, and you're then going to get the benefit of the returns of that ETF. So instead of investing in one crypto or one project, what you have is the ETF is invested into many, and you have a share within that. So it's good for diversification purposes because it means you're spread over multiple asset classes, but also you want to know with ETFs that your ROI will be lower. Like, let me give you guys an example. An ETF compared to investing in an individual project. Well, in an individual project, you might have an ROI, or return on investment, of 50% in 1 year. That's very, very realistic in crypto. But with an ETF, that same project or those same projects, your ROI isn't going to be 50%. It's going to be something like 10 to 20%. So it's lower. But you do benefit from diversification and lower risk. That's really what an ETF is. And some of you may be asking, like, yo, where do I invest in an ETF? Like, Jean-Luc, I like the idea of something less risky, but still has crypto exposure. That's what people are looking for. Well, you can go to places like Morgan Stanley, which is obviously a bank. I believe Fidelity and Goldman Sachs also have ETFs as well. And so there's options for you to go there on the more traditional side. Or you could just simply invest in the projects directly yourself and you have full ownership, right? Because don't forget, if you guys invest in an ETF using your like Fidelity app or eToro or any of those things, you do not have ownership to your investment there. In fact, put a 10 in the chat if you guys have heard of Robinhood. Robinhood is where you can buy and sell stocks. Put a 10 in the chat if you guys heard of Robinhood, right? Some of you may not, but Robinhood is one of the most popular investing apps. And guess what? You may not know this, but on Robinhood, on their TOS, terms of service, you know what it says? It says Robinhood has title, which means ownership, to all of your investments on their app. Like they have it in their terms of service. So you think you own it, but you actually don't. And so I want to track back to history a little bit because history doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes and there's similarities. And so 2021, 2022, the crypto market was going absolutely ballistic. It was so volatile. People were becoming multimillionaires in the span of like 1 week, but people were also going broke in the span of 1 week. And so what happened is this. There was two stocks, one called AMC and one called GameStop. One called AMC, one called GameStop. AMC, you know, cinemas, entertainment, GameStop, where you go physically and buy games. And something called a short squeeze happened where basically there was a large amount of sellers in the market, but also buyers. And so the stock ran up from like $3 all the way up into the hundreds. But one of the key things to mention about this experience, Robinhood, right? Robinhood actually halted people from trading that asset class. They halted people from investing in that. Just think about it. We're in the publicly traded market. Like this is meant to be a free market, free enterprise, right? Like everybody has equal opportunity to make money or lose money. They stopped people from buying it and selling it because it was too volatile. And I believe the US government stepped in and said, yeah, too many retail traders and investors are making money in AMC and GameStop, like 10x's, 100x's, 1000x's worth of money. We're going to stop you guys from buying and selling that, trading that. That's what happened on Robinhood, guys. Why am I mentioning this to you? Because having ownership to your investments are absolutely vital. And so that's going to give you the flexibility to do what you want, when you want, how you want. That's why we recommend that these ETFs are great. Like it's good for diversification. It's good for, you know, something that's spreading your risk. But what we don't want is for you to put in the vast majority of money into that. Because if the market has a very adverse black swan event, a black swan event is an unanticipated, unpredictable event, such as COVID, such as a world war, such as, you know, things of that nature. Well, guess what? They can literally stop you from withdrawing money. Imagine going to the ATM and you want to withdraw $1,000 from a bank account and the ATM says, no, you can't withdraw it. Like it's your money, but you can't. Like we're keeping it. We haven't got enough money on our reserves. That's the exact same example, but just through an ETF that's not physical. So look, this is what we do. And I would literally look through Decrypt and look for news that I think is going to have a big impact on the market, such as an ETF announcement, such as the Iran war and how that's going to affect commodities, which we've already seen that effect. And then after that, the next source is CoinGecko, guys. And I know some of you are more intermediate advanced here, but we also have some beginners. CoinGecko is where you're going to find the prices of these crypto projects. You're also going to find the tokenomics of these crypto projects, right? So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Put 5 in the chat here if you do not know how to analyze a crypto project, and put a 10 in the chat if you do know how to analyze a crypto project. So put a 5 if you don't know, and put a 10 if you do know. I want to know if you guys know how to analyze a project. Like, how do I rate it? How do I know if it's a good investment or a bad investment? Okay, so I'm looking in the chat. I'm seeing a couple of things. Cool. So I'm going to show you guys, it's a 5-step formula. 5-step formula on how to break down a crypto project. How to know if to invest in it or if to not invest in it, if to trade it, if to not to trade it. The first thing is this: utility. Utility is going to be your biggest key. Why? Because utility is what the project does. Just think about stocks. Think about Amazon. Think about Apple. Think about Tesla. Do we know the utility of those stocks? Of course we do. Tesla, electric vehicle cars. What's the utility? It takes me from A to B and it's eco-friendly. Amazon, utility. What's the value of it? Well, it's a one-click shop I can literally go to Amazon right now, one click, and within 3 minutes, I can order that product, and that product can come to my house the same day. That's the utility. How do we do that with crypto, Jean-Luc? Like this digital world runs on a blockchain, which is this technology where transactions can't be altered or changed, and transactions are quick with low fees. Like, how do we analyze something that's internet, like digital, Web3? Here's how we do it. Step one is utility. What does it do? So Ethereum, guys, is the largest transactional coin in crypto. What does that mean? That means that Ethereum is used a lot for transactions. Not store of wealth. Like Bitcoin's more store of wealth, like gold. But Ethereum is more like if I want to buy something, I'm probably going to use the ETH network. It's very reliable. The fees are quite high, but I can trust it and it's quick. So that's some of the utility with Ethereum. That's step one, utility. Step two is partnerships. So let's think about it. Tesla. Who's partnered with Tesla? Are there other companies that are also working with them, associated with them, financing them? It's the same question you asked with Ethereum, guys. Same question you asked with, Chainlink. Same question you asked with Ondo that we talk about a lot. Who are the partners? Who are the backers? Now, the third one, which is similar to partners, is the team. Who is the CEO? Tesla, we have Elon Musk. Amazon, we had Jeff Bezos before he gave up his position there. But maybe I should research the team. Who's behind it? The third thing in this formula is tokenomics. And in stocks, you can literally look at financials in Yahoo Finance. Tokenomics. Well, what's the market cap? Is this a big project or a small project? Remember, a market cap with over 10 billion, we're going to say it's a big project, a large cap project. Then a market cap that has 1 billion plus, we're going to say it's maybe a mid cap. And then like a small cap is kind of like, a few hundred million and lower. So is it large? Is it medium? Or is it small? Trading volume. Compared to the market cap, is there a lot of tokens being traded? Because if the market cap's really big and the 24-hour trading volume's really low meaning less than 5%, then that's not an active project. That means that there's not many people trading that asset. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to buy something that has low demand. Think about it like a physical product. You want to buy the shampoo that everybody else is buying clearly because it's popular and it works well. That's why people keep buying it. It's the same thing with crypto. Why do I want to invest in a project that has a low 24-hour trading volume in comparison to its market cap, which means that it's not being used a lot? I don't want to do that. And then you can look at things like max supply, right? Does this project have a limit as to how many tokens are going to be out there in the blockchain for people to buy and that's circulating? Bitcoin has 21 million Bitcoins out there in the world. That's it. That's the maximum. Over 19 and a half have been mined already, which means they're extracted in order for people to trade and buy. Well, something with limited supply, guys, is typically going to have higher demand over time and a higher price. I mean, what's the biggest benefit of crypto compared to fiat, compared to the US dollar, guys? Well, the US dollar was worth $100 about 100 years ago. Now, you know what that same $100 note 100 years ago is? Less than $3. Why? Because fiat is unlimited and the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of America, can print as much cash as they want when they want. You guys remember the stimulus checks? Everyone used to get $1,000, $1,500 from the government during COVID times, and everyone's celebrating spending the money at spring break and XYZ. But you want to know something? Terrible economics for the US. Terrible. The more money you print, which means the more supply that's out there, the lower the demand and the lower the value. Write that down. The higher the supply, the lower the demand, the lower the price. With fiat, that's the issue with cash. But guess what? With crypto, that's not the issue with many of these projects because there's a limited supply and people want it. They demand it more. Anything that's hard to get, hard to attain, people want more. Basic human economics. So that's tokenomics. That was the fourth thing. And then the fifth thing that I like to touch on is community, right? Community. Does the crypto project have a community behind it? Does the stock have a community behind it? Are they active on Telegram, on Discord, on YouTube, on LinkedIn? Are they posting up on their website? Are they fulfilling their roadmap? Every single business in the world has a roadmap, has a vision, has a plan. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. If that project said, hey, Q4, we're going to have XYZ completed, and then it gets to Q4 and they haven't even started any of their previous promises, guys, well, guess what? That is a company probably with poor management, poor leadership, not sticking to their word, uncommitted, and probably a company that isn't even reinvesting in themselves. Therefore, I don't want to be invested in it. Simple as that. So just remember, write these things down, guys. Utility number one, partnerships number two, the team behind it number three, tokenomics, and community. Those are the key aspects. And then the bonus one to add on top of that is the technicals. What does the chart look like, right? What does the market structure look like? Are we breaking below all-time lows? Are we breaking above all-time highs? Are we waiting for a retracement? What price level are we looking to get in and why? These are the questions that you ask yourself on the technical side, which I'm sure many of you guys know. So put a 10 in the chat if this is making some sense. Put a 10 in the chat if this is making some sense. 10 in the chat if this is making some sense. I hope you're getting some value because this is really key, vital information for you guys. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to my brother. He's here physically. We're actually here together in Fort Worth. And I already know he's going to give some big game about the markets, looking at one or two projects, probably the technicals, probably trading view, and some other things as well. So make sure you tap in. You know, Gil is somebody who's been in the market now for 5 to 6 years. You know, he's been trading for a long time now. He's been investing for a long time now. He's seen different cycles in the market. And just to tell you the truth, guys, it's very easy to think you know a lot when you've only been through one cycle, or even half a cycle. But history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And so having someone who can coach or teach from seeing how the market used to be compared to how it is today, it gives you a good, potentially accurate insight as to where the market is heading. So, Gil, I'm going to pass it over to you, my guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Super happy and grateful for every single one of you guys for, being on these sessions week by week. And today really want to go through some things, but I want to shout out Jean-Luc for going through some great information to give you guys a basis on like, what do we even look at, right? Like when it comes to things like the news, when it comes to things like tokenomics, when it comes to knowing the back end, these things are important. It's something that lets you have a better understanding of the markets, while most people don't, because I want you guys to realize that most people, when it comes to crypto, when it comes to stocks, don't understand the things that literally Jean-Luc broke down, which is crazy. There's so many YouTubers, there's so many X, Y, and Z, but a lot of people aren't willing to really give the information that is actually going to help you really have the right understanding with things, right? So with saying that, I'm going to go into my segment of this to end today, but really going to be more on the charts, right? Like Jean-Luc was saying, we've both been trading, investing for over 5 years. And I think for us is understanding that, the markets have similar rhythms, they have similar emotions, but they don't do the exact same thing. Being in the market since 2020, I've seen a lot. We've been able to see, BTC for the first time hit 20K and, see a cycle like this. And a couple of things I'm going to go through today, because every single time I look at the markets, and we're starting with Bitcoin because everything starts with Bitcoin when it comes to crypto, and then we'll go in a little bit of stocks. But when it comes to markets as a whole, everything has different cycles, right? Also understanding that if you look at the past, you have a better idea of maybe what can happen, not necessarily because it's the exact same thing, but there's certain signs. And I also want you guys to realize, and I said this at this event that we had in person here in Dallas. So if you're in Dallas watching this YouTube, connect, because we have in-person things. But I talked about how important it is to understanding on where it was and where it is, but also understanding that things rhyme. So like things, the market, how it moved, and also how the market has emotions is very important. I broke down that people have emotions and the markets are moved by people. So that means the markets have emotion. So once you study emotion, you're actually way ahead than most people. So looking back here, I'm just going to go a little bit back to look at where we're at and kind of my POV where things can be, and where things can go, in my opinion, when it comes to crypto, is just understanding, what happened in the past. So during this time, I don't know if you guys remember, but during 2020, there was a big big thing that happened, which is the whole COVID started, right? The pandemic started. And this created a big opportunity actually for buys. Now, I want to give you guys another lesson here. When big things are going on in the world, and this is like a sad reality, when bad things are going on, is actually a good opportunity for the markets. When good things are going on, is actually, I wouldn't say a bad opportunity, because it's a good opportunity to take profit. And that's something that is very, very important. This is a good example. Literally during COVID, Bitcoin itself. I mean, what, this happened in a day? This happened in a week, right? In like a week, there was like a 60% decrease in a week. That's actually wild, right? And then the market shot up. But one thing that I saw here, and I was just looking at this, and I was like, okay, like let me look at like previous things, and I look at what happened here and where we're going. But previously, before we even saw this move here, there was a time that the market became very quiet, very boring. And one thing that I share in here sometimes is something called the RSI. I don't use a lot of indicators. It's the only indicator I use for higher time frames, because it just shows like supply and demand. And during this time right here, you can see that at the bottom, this EMA just shows the average pricing. It's an average pricing line. You can put it that way. So when the market is below this line, that means it's below average. When the market is above, it's above average. So when there's a crossing, there's a change from below average to above average, which means there's a shift in supply and demand. And as you guys can see, this started to shift before it even made the jump. This was like a um, you know, perspective before things happened on that, which is very, interesting, right? Now, let's fast forward. Oops. Let's fast forward to the last bear market, which is here. Okay. Same thing happened. Look at this. The market was slow. Well, really all of this. So let me do this. All of this. Okay. And what was happening here? Again, there's a show of supply and demand. The market came in here, came really low. The market came low. But then what happened? The market started to reject going up, and the market then later spiked up as well. But the first indicator that was showing that was here. Again, I'm doing this on the weekly time frame, not on the minute, not on the 1 hour, not on the 4 hour, not even the daily, on the weekly and monthly time frame. And you can see the same things vice versa. When the markets are high, there's just like a breakthrough that I had back in the day. When the markets are really high, it's very high on the RSI. And then what happens? It tanks. And when it tanks here first, then it reflects after here. Now put a 7 in the chat here on YouTube if this is making sense. Right? You might have heard me say this a couple times. Sometimes I don't talk about it, sometimes I do. But this is something that I like to use. Now, let's look at the time we're in right now. Again, I hope this is kind of like clicking for you. The market is low. The market came down here, rejected, and literally right now, and this is what I was waiting for actually, the market has broke above this EMA line on the RSI. Before the market even breaks out, it hasn't even created all-time highs. Yeah, it hasn't even created all-time highs. It's already doing it here. This is just one thing that I like to look at. There is a couple other factors. There's things like volume, for example. I'm not going to go too much into volume today, but volume. And there's something called divergence, which I'm not going to go too much into today. Maybe on the next segment, I'll give you guys like different pieces on how I look. But today I want to focus on RSI and kind of how does that show what we can see, right? So like I said, the market is really coming out of low area, coming out to then pushing higher. And I personally think that's a great sign for now to have BTC start to make the move that we've been looking for. And I really like that it's low, right? Does that mean it can go lower? Of course it can. But if you look at previous history, every single time, just look at previous history. You just look at the data, look at the charts, and then, you make the decision off of what's happened. You study the past to see maybe what can happen. Anytime that the market is low, look at this. Here, we're here. And then what happened? Breaks EMA, boom, up. comes down, comes kind of close. That was kind of like a preconceived thing. And then same thing, a high. Market comes super high, breaks structure below on the RSI, and then goes down. And then look, what's crazy thing is, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but you know how this created an all-time high? But you know what's crazy here? Here it didn't create an all-time high. So me looking back at this, trust me, at this time I wasn't looking the way I'm looking now. But me looking back at this was a very obvious top. This was like a very obvious. Like I knew I should have known, and if I've known this, I would have looked and said, "Wait a second, there's something called divergence. The RSI is going down while the market is going up." And then what happened? The market tanked. And even recently, we saw this. Bitcoin created a high, created a high. But look what happened. Every time it created a new high, it was a lower high. New high, lower high. That is showing divergence. That means a diverge, right? One thing is showing one thing is showing another thing. Boom, this is going down while this is going up. And then what happened? A tank. So what I'm looking for is this to happen here. And this is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for a while. This is why I've been patient. And I would rather be patient than just buying because something is low. I mean, yes, you want to do that, but it's the higher you get in understanding, patience pays, and also understanding where capital is being allocated. I would rather have my capital somewhere else that maybe can do other things now rather than waiting for things to go later. Now, if you're new to investing, it's better to do something called daily cost average, which I will break down as well after I show some charts. But other than that, this is what we're looking at Bitcoin. I like this. This is amazing. This is very healthy in my opinion. I want to see if Bitcoin can really push up here and stay above here. Can it stay above here? Now, I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer. If we have Bitcoin go up and have a fast rejection, I personally think we will break and go lower. Okay. So when looking at Bitcoin as a whole, again, this gives the pre-sequel of crypto. We want to see this break above and stay above. We wanted to keep structure and then look for an opportunity here. And when the market does this, this is when all of other cryptos might be at their best opportunities. And then we could see something like this. All right. So put a fire emoji for me here on YouTube, baby. This gave you a little different understanding that maybe you've never seen before, or maybe it's like a refresher on some things. But a lot of people don't look at the market this way. They don't use this type of analysis. You can use volume in a similar way. Maybe I talk about it in the next one because I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just want to give you guys that. Now, when it comes to altcoins, I like to use a chart that we're going to go to, and it's called Total 2. Okay. Total 2 shows literally the market cap of all cryptos outside of Bitcoin. So this is basically the market cap of everything, excluding Bitcoin right here. Total market cap excluding crypto. I'm sorry, Bitcoin. So what does this show me? This show me where everything else is for altcoins. Altcoins is everything outside of Bitcoin. It's an altcoin, right? It's an alternative token to Bitcoin. So this is where we want to look, because realistically, a lot of us are in this market, the altcoins, because we're not in Bitcoin because of, there is a lot of opportunity, and Bitcoin is something that will be $1 million one day, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the opportunity of taking, lower capital, mostly the opportunities is on altcoins. The goal is to collect growth on altcoins to then get more Bitcoin. Like that really is it. So as you guys can see here, again, the market, just to repeat themselves, the market was here. The market was here. What happened? On the RSI, it broke above, stayed above, and here actually came lower. This was creating something called divergence. It's going down on the price, but up on the RSI. And then what happened? The market continued to climb. So right now, okay, we are in this area, which is low, and in this area, which is low, which that is good. There's opportunity. Now, my question is, can we stay above? Right? Can we actually stay above like it did here? Can we stay above here and look for opportunities? Meaning on the chart, can we see if total market cap outside of Bitcoin can break above here? Can we see this market break above here, stay above here, and then look for opportunities here? Now, could you buy now, even though we're looking at the same price points? Yeah, you could. But I like to invest and also trade off of confirmations on, the companies doing its thing, but also on the charts, and that's something that I learned over the years, and it's something that makes me more confident of things. And I realize that the more capital you have, the more confident I believe you want to be in something, because there's, risk to reward with everything. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. Now, when this happens, I really believe the opportunity will be here. I personally believe the bottom will be in if this actually happens. But again, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. This could literally just come in here, reject, and then give us the actual opportunity here, and then actually start to climb and then give us what we want to look for. Okay. So to get all of this summarized, you want to look for market structure. You want to look for, can this start creating higher highs and higher lows? Right now, it's been creating lower lows and lower highs on the weekly. That's all it's been doing. Lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high. Can it break above? And that's when we want to start looking for the best opportunities, in my opinion, when you look for the retracement, when you see the retracement after the break structure. Now, Gail, what are some opportunities that we can see if this was to happen? Now, obviously, we've been talking about this for a while, but Chainlink is obviously something that we really like. Honestly, even Chainlink as a whole, like just because it's so low, even now, is an opportunity that I believe is good, regardless under $10. It's such a steal. But if we want to look for a scalp or a snipe or a better entry, which in investing, you don't have to have the best price point, just saying. But we want to look for the same thing. You're going to see the same thing on the same markets, because at the end of the day, they all follow each other. Mostly with crypto, they all follow each other. So we can see consolidation. We're below here on the RSI. We're waiting for what? Break of structure. And then retracement, and then a potential up. Right? So like I said, is today is a bad time to invest? No, because it's still under $10. But if we want to be patient, we can do that. But I would highly also recommend to say, okay, what is my capital looking like? Right? Am I ready to invest? If you're already investing and you're investing on a weekly basis, well, hey, amazing. If it stays in this area, if it stays in this box, this is a great area, regardless if it's now or if it's later. Right? A couple other ones is like Aave. Aave, honestly, I really like. Right now, look, this is a good example. Right now, let me know in the chat box, yes or no. Has this broken above the EMA on the RSI? Yes or no in the chat box. I know we have a delay, so I might have to get a little bit, but put a yes or no in the chat box if you think that the RSI, this purple line, sorry, has it broken above the gold line? Yes or no? Let me know. Okay. Now that you guys are responding, I'll give you guys the answer. But the answer is no, right? It hasn't broke above yet. It's not breaking above yet. So what does that show me? That shows me that when it comes to supply and demand, we're still not at an area where this can start to actually reject, meaning this might want to come a little bit lower before it actually continues higher. Now, I'm also going to tell you guys this. Aave is an asset that anything under $100 is a steal. So, Gil, how would you play that? Well, it doesn't make sense. Okay, you're telling me that I want to wait for the RSI, but then you're telling me that now is a good time. It all comes down to your budgeting. So I'm going to tell you guys this to end, and I'll go to some I'll go to some like fast cryptos and then fast stocks and then be done. But this is what I would do. Make a decision today to have a budget. Okay, have a budget for your crypto. Have a budget for your stocks. Now, if you were to ask me, I wish at the beginning I was taught stocks, because I wasn't, but I would put 50% in crypto, 50% in stocks. That's what I would do personally, just giving you my piece of advice. It gives you better exposure, and it makes it where you're not totally reliant on one market, right? So now once you do this, you say, okay, how much am I putting on this budget? That budget should be a continuous budget. meaning from your check. Is it $100 per check? Is it $50 per check? Is it $20 per check, right? Doesn't matter. Let's say every month you're investing $500 and 250 250 oh, sorry. 250 goes to crypto and 250 goes to stocks. Now, depending on when you get paid and when you have it, you now have the budget. But now it just depends on when that money is coming in. If you're doing it weekly, then that means every single week you're going to have a budget to play with. If you're doing it in crypto, I would recommend that 250, right? You're buying USDC on Kraken, on your exchange, and you're sending it out, right? But you're buying in dollars. In stocks, you basically already have to have like the what you're investing in, because it doesn't work the same as crypto. But every single time you have the pot of money, you make a decision. Either you make a decision or you don't make a decision, meaning is it a good time to invest on anything that I'm looking at or is it not? So right now, if we were looking at 250 in crypto, I would ask myself, is Aave in a good area to buy? If I was right now purchasing crypto, I would say yes. Personally, anything under $100 is amazing because literally just looking at this perspective from the all-time highs, which was all the way up here, by the way, we're down like 80%. Okay. So the opportunity is there. Now, could you get pickier? Yeah, you could wait and see, okay, what is it going to show me, break a structure, all that you can. But also is having the perspective of risk to reward. Is it worth to me for me to get Aave at $94 and they go to 85? Would I be upset? No, I wouldn't. Like literally, I wouldn't. If it goes to $70, I wouldn't either. And that would be super low because guess what? I would have another opportunity to continue to DCA. So that's an example of that. So something like Ethereum, in my opinion, is a little bit different. Now, is Ethereum a good opportunity right now? Yeah, of course. But personally, according to risk to reward that I look for, anything under 2,000 is worth it to me. Anything above 2,000 is not worth it to me. So I might let go. I'm not saying this is the case, but I'm just saying there'll be times that I might let go an opportunity. I might let go an investment for it to go because it's not giving me the risk to reward or the opportunity that maybe something else is. So Ethereum, great project. Now, is it the risk reward I'm looking for? Not at the current pricing. If it goes below 2,000, I like it. If it goes below 1,800, I really, really like it because now it's giving a better opportunity for the same money that I'm investing in, knowing that all these projects are obviously long-term projects regardless. Now, last one I'll talk about for crypto for today is going to be Caspa. If you're a part of Powerhouse University, this was literally called out from one of our educators. So, you already know what that means. But right now, it's honestly looking really nicely. Caspa first came out in the bear market, which is wild. 2024 was the top, guys. That was the bear market still. There hasn't been a bull market for altcoins. I just want to let y'all know that. Was there a bull market for crypto, for BTC? Sorry, yes, there was, but not for altcoins. So it's interesting to me that Caspa came out and did its thing, and has created a lot of opportunity in the bear market. So imagine when alt season actually happens. Caspa is a project that they're actually building. They're not just hyping it up. They have really good tokenomics. They have a lot of backing. They have a lot of different things that they're doing, and they're very low key, which I really like about it as well. So I would recommend to look into it. But right now, I do like this. Now, looking at the weekly, we can see that, it's kind of just playing in this area, right? So even just looking at the RSI, it's playing. It did break above, and the market hasn't created higher highs. That's a good sign. I might have to start looking at the monthly for this one and saying, okay, when is this going to break above? But again, going back to risk to reward, is this worth it to me now regardless? Yes, it is. We're down like $83. I think on our platform on Zenrai Ideas, this was sent out for $3. So we haven't hit $3 or below since it's been called out. So if you want to look for like a perfect entry, below 3 cents, that is what is on the Zenrai Ideas app. If you have the Zenrai Ideas app, amazing. If you don't, and you know what I'm talking about, we're going to leave you some information in the comment section so you can get access to that. But we're looking for anything below here. But really, guys, anything below 45 cents or 4 cents, sorry, 4 cents, I personally really do like. Okay, so those are some good opportunities when it comes to crypto. Now for stocks, there's some that I've left without me, and some that we have some good opportunities. Now the ones with the good opportunities, in my opinion, right now is Paramount. Paramount is looking really well. If I'm looking at the same, trajectory, we can see that on the weekly. We just have broken above again on the RSI, and the market hasn't created higher highs yet. It hasn't, which is good. That's what we want to see. This is a pump in volume that we were looking for. So I really like really anything below $12 is a massive steal. So even if you're looking at your budget, $250, I mean, putting some of that to Paramount this week, and for an example, is good. Another good one is PayPal. Okay, PayPal is a really good example, actually. The reason why it's a really good example is because you guys see how here it became very, very low on the RSI, like super low, right? When it creates like a different color, that means it's super low. And now it broke above. I really like that. Like those are my favorite markets to invest in when we're looking at the weekly. Why? Because this weight became super low and the market is, again, super low. The last time it was here, yeah, it gave opportunity here as well, and then it came lower. But the last time it was here, and then gave us a pump. The last time it was here, well, you can't even look at the past. But this is like literally the lowest it's been. So again, the opportunity, the risk to reward is there. Again, is everything is risk to reward because the best case scenario is it going to, I wouldn't even say all time highs. It doesn't even have to, but let's just say all time highs, right? Just to talk all time highs. All-time highs is 307, right? Right now we're looking at around 45. Now, for me to be honest, my first TP would be like 120. It wouldn't be 300, and then my second TP would be 200, right? Like I wouldn't even hold the whole bag up here, just because of different marketplace, different capital, all that type of stuff. So PayPal looks like really good opportunity, just from what we're looking at. Same thing as something like Snapchat. Snapchat is same thing. It's just a smaller company. So it's like it moves a little bit different, but you can see the same thing. The market was very low, is very low right now. Now, can we see this give us some sort of movement? Now, you can be the type of investor and say, hey, I'm going to buy just super low and I'm just going to hold. That is completely fine. But you can also be more patient. You can say, okay, if it's a higher risk play, can I see some sort of volume come in, show me that it wants to do something, and then I look for retracements for entry. Now, that is a good thing, but also you can miss plays by doing that. So it just depends on the type of investor you want to be and also your situation financially. Now, one more I want to give that I haven't talked about too much on these sessions is Disney. I don't know about you guys, but they just released a whole, list for the movies that are coming out in 2026, 2027, 2028, and they're big movies. They're movies that we've been waiting for years. So the books, the financials for Disney is actually really good. So I personally was looking like, could I see below here? But the fact that we're looking to create higher highs, so we're creating higher highs, right, and higher lows right now, that is a good indication that I don't think it's going to come below here. And I really like this as a potential opportunity, right? Previous all-time highs around $200. Right now it's at 100. So, easy potential 2x. Even looking at this, it gave this retracement in 71 area. This is the zone that I like to look for. So really right now, anything below $100 is a great opportunity, mostly with the movies coming out. All these things are coming out and their financials are really good, actually. So when you look at a price that is at a retracement and has good financials, that is a huge plus. Okay. So with saying that, that's basically it for me. I just want to go on the charts a little bit. I want to give you guys some crypto. I want to go do some stocks as well. And give you guys a good perspective on what to look for. Today, mainly, I talked about the RSI, something new that I do. Again, I only do in the higher time frame to show really supply and demand areas for opportunities on where things are going. So with saying that, you guys already know we're here every single Saturday at the same time. It's either 12 or 1. We always update either if you're in the free channel on Powerhouse University or if you're in the free channel that we have on Instagram. We always send the information there and we run these every single Saturday. So I highly recommend to continue to hop on, invite somebody to one of these since it's on YouTube, because we're always giving the plays. Now, if you're somebody that is not a part of Powerhouse University and you want to be a part of about what we do, you don't know what we're doing, you don't know about the community, check out the comments after we post this video and we'll give you guys the next step to be able to take advantage of everything that we have going on and how we've been able to capitalize and help a lot of students see a lot of results in the markets as an investor, but also a trader. So with saying that, I'll let you guys go. You guys have a good Saturday and let's run it.